Let us continue the next perquisite, education. I will discuss with you now the perquisite of education facility. We have already covered the perquisite of accommodation, we have covered the perquisite of motor car, we have covered the perquisite of domestic servants, we have covered the perquisite of household amenities. Now the discussion will start on my fifth perquisite, which is perquisite of education facility. So let us start discussing this education. How we tax this education facility. This is my fifth perquisite, perquisite of education facility. Now, how do we tax this perquisite? When education is provided by the employer to the employee or to any other member of his household, maybe parents, children, spouse, whatever. Then how do we tax this perquisite? Because it will be a saving. Since now it is provided by the employer, employee is saving the amount. Had employee himself provided this facility to his family members or even to himself, he would have to incur some cost, which now he might be saving. And this is what we need to compute. Two factors need to be decided. So two factors to be seen carefully before computing this perquisite. Two factors to be seen before we go for computing the taxable value of this education facility. First factor is, it is provided where? Provided, this provided is not that conditional, okay, it is giving some facility. So under Income Tax Act, provided means an exception. This provided does not represent that exception, it is where you are giving this facility. Or rather than provided, let me use a simple word, where the education facility was given in an educational institution this institution can be owned and maintained by the employer or not, doesn't matter, but it is an institution. Or not, doesn't matter, but it is an educational institution. Like this institution, Shri Ram College is an institution, Hindu College an institution, Hansraj an institution, and if IIM Ahmedabad an institution. So these all are institutions. But so many times there may be some private small places like maybe some dance academy or any diploma course, not in any institution, but at any place. Maybe there is a two-room accommodation where education facility is provided. So what is my first factor in determining the education facilities? First, I must know, is this education being provided in an institution or at any other place, which is not an institution, or at any other place. This is my first factor. Second factor, to whom it is given? It is given to employees' children or other members of household. Household means family members. Of the employee. So given to employees' children or to other members. These two factors you must note in your mind when you determine the value of education facility, that it is given at which place, in an educational institution or at any other place, or it is given to whom, employees' children or other members of the household. Now when it is given, now how do we compute the value? So this is how we compute the value. Computing the taxable value now. So first point, when it is given to employees' children, or when it is given to anyone, either to employees' children or to other member, doesn't matter. But when it is given at a place other than an institution, whenever the education is given to anyone, if I say anyone, anyone doesn't mean any relative, anyone means employees, children or other member of his household, which includes close people, parents, spouse, brothers and sisters. When it is given at a place, to whom? To these people. When it is given to these people at a place other than an education institution, that means at this place. At this place when it is given. So what is logically the taxable value? Whatever is the actual expenditure of the employer, whatever fees, etc., which employer is giving to make sure that the employees' children or other members are studying at that place. So whatever is the actual expenditure of the employer, that becomes my benefit as an employee. Incurred in this behalf. Incurred to meet the cost of education. This is my saving, but it will be reduced by what? Logically, amount. Recovered by the employee. Recovered by the employer from the employee. For this purpose. Of course, everything should be for that specific purpose, for this purpose. Whatever amount is recovered from the employee, that is deducted. Difference is nothing but taxable value. Is logically the concept clear? If yes, please raise your hand. Next point. Now, it is given, of course, to employees' children or other members of the household at an educational institution. Now, this institution can be whether owned and maintained by the employer or not, doesn't matter. For example, if Reliance provides education to employees' children in their own school, Reliance is having their own school also, in their own school or in any other school which is not owned by the Reliance Industries. Same concept applies. So what should not matter is whether it is employers owned institution or others owned institution, but it should be an institution. owned and maintained by the employer or not. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, but it should be an institution. Then can you think logically? Now, can you think logically? What should be the taxable value? Any answer? If you think logically, what should be the taxable value? Any answer? So that means it is little bit technical. When employer provides education to employ children in an educational institution, so logically what should be the taxable value? This is what the point. What is my saving? So I can say that whatever is the fees of other children in that institution, that is my saving because I'm not paying it. But no, this is not the case. Rule says whenever it is provided in an institution, check the cost of education of a similar institution in similar locality. This is your saving. So the same status school in which the education facility is provided to the employee, check any other school of having equivalent status, and the place where the school is located, check the status of that other school in similar locality, so that you can get an exact idea where there are no chances of any tax evasion or tax avoidance. If you take the cost of education of your own institution where the children is studying, then there can be chances of tax avoidance. They can manipulate the fees. They can show less fees. But when you take the cost of education in a similar institution in similar locality, then fees manipulation is not possible. This is what my saving is. So this is what I will say that what rule says, had your children not been studying in the educational institution where you have been given the facility, then this would have been the fee which you would have paid had your children been studying in similar institution in similar locality. This is what the taxable value. Of course, from this I should deduct amount recovered from the employee. And this is what the taxable value. Now please note down, and if you have any problem you ask me, and when you have noted down and understood, then please raise the hand so that I will proceed.
Sir, how we'll decide the cost of an education of a similar institution? Like, what's the parameter of similar institution?
No parameter, no parameter. On assumption base, in for examination purpose, it will be given to us in the question. But in real life, then you decide as per your own wish. If department raises any objection, then they think of going into the parameter. Otherwise, for such small level, no dispute comes.
Like,
It is open-ended. You decide yourself. That's it.
like in a similar locality, there might be a government school where there might not be any fee.
But that is not similar institution then.
Maybe a charitable school then.
So no idea. I cannot say anything in this because Income Tax Act doesn't say anything on this. So what you are asking will be only my opinion. That has not legal sanctity. It depends on more rational way. Whatever, because so many things are dependent on case to case basis. For in law, there are so many things for which you don't have the clear answer yes or no. It depends on case to case basis. Suppose in similar locality there are only two schools. So what you do? You have to take any one school fee. If there are more than two schools, then you would decide as per that situation which is the best or most correct rational assumption. That's it.
All right.
Point clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please raise your hand if you have noted down. Then, and if you have understood the point, I will proceed then. Next point. Now, within this education facility, in one case it is tax free, where there is no tax. So, what is that? In one case, I can say that perquisite of education is tax free. Case where, only one case where perquisite of education facility is exempt from tax. There is no tax. So, what is that case? First of all, if free education facility is provided, free, if free education facility is provided to whom? Employees' children, not to other members of the household, only to employees' children. If free I hope now you can listen to me. If free education facility is provided to whom? Employees' children, not to members. And that too an institution. It can be owned institution or not owned institution, doesn't matter, but it should be an institution. That means if it is provided at any other place, then you cannot claim any exemption. So three conditions are there to get the exemption: free, children, and institution. Not only these three, and along with this, if fourth point is also satisfied, and if cost of education so I think the connection is going. It was a break again. Anyhow, let me see. If not, then I will disconnect it from college and I will connect it with my hotspot. So let us see whether it goes again or not. This is fourth condition. If cost of education in a similar institution in the locality or near the locality does not exceed 1000 per month per child, then in that case, the perquisite of education is tax free. So to get the tax free perquisite, you need four conditions to be satisfied. It should be totally free, given to employees' children in an institution, and if cost of education exceed 1000 per month per child, then this education is tax free. That's it. Now, please raise your hand if it is clear, and I will start discussing numericals now. In case the concept is clear, please raise your hands and let us discuss then the numerical. Okay, now let me start discussing numerical. Now it is little bit technical. In different books, it is shown in different ways, so that you have to decide which you think is more suitable. I believe in my way of calculation after reading the acts and other court cases. But you might get different calculations in different books or materials. Now let's discuss the illustration from my book. It is page number 4.40. Illustration 1. Now just listen first. X is an employee of A Limited. X is an employee of A Limited. His parents are
not visible.
It's not visible. Why?
Sir, you're not sharing the
Stop
screen.
sharing.
So was that theory visible? No, I'm sharing it.
It is visible,
Sir, it's
sir.
visible for me.
Visible. So I think there is some problem at your end, I think. Is this theory visible where I have written that exception? Wait a second.
Yes, it's visible now, sir.
Is this page, was this page visible earlier?
Yes, sir.
And is this page visible now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So X is an employee of A Limited. His parents are provided. Okay, before that, let me write. You should note down one more point so that there is no confusion. For every perquisite, not only for this perquisite, this is an additional point. For every perquisite, wherever members of household is written, so who must be the members of household? This you note, and it is not for this perquisite. In every perquisite, wherever you can say that members of household is written, members of household. It is different from family. Don't say it is family. Members of household is different. Family is different. Members of household is different. So who are there in members of household? Spouse. You should note it down. Children and their spouses. That means daughter-in-law. Children and their spouses. Parents. And servants and dependents. So in fact, brothers and sisters are not covered, but brothers and sisters will be covered as in family, in the definition of family. So that is why I'm saying that family is different from members of household. So in every perquisite, now use this definition for every perquisite, wherever you can say that. Because what is my personal benefit whenever any perquisite is provided to me, not only to me, but even to the members of household, it's my benefit. Okay, so perquisites are not provided only to the employee, even to the members of household. There are situations where it can be provided to members of household. It's not compulsory on any employer to provide any perquisite. The department cannot compel anyone to provide any perquisite. It depends upon employer and employee to whom the employer wants to provide the perquisite, only to the employee or even to the members of household. But as far as exemption is concerned, Act says that whenever you compute any taxable value of perquisite, and if it is provided to members of household also, so Act says that this is the definition of members of household. It includes, suppose if Mr. X is the employee, then who are the members of household? Mrs. X, Mr. X children and their spouses, Mr. X parents, and Mr. X servants and dependents. That's it. This is the meaning of members of household for the purpose of perquisite. So many times perquisites are not provided only to the employee, but even the benefits are extended to the members of household also. That is why in perquisite, wherever you see the word members of household, you must remember that these four constitute members of household. So I'm proceeding to the next page. I hope you have written it. So in my example illustration given on page 4.40, X is an employee of A Limited. Parents are provided, not children. Do remember parents. Now parents are member or not? Yes, there is no problem. Parents are covered under member of household. But these are not children. Now provided free education. Where? In an institution, not in any other place, in an institution. Cost of education, I will simply write a short form. Cost of similar education. In reality, you should write complete cost of education in a similar institution in similar locality is 800 per month. Now I want to ask a question. Can you tell me the taxable value per unit of education here? On what value I should pay the tax? Think logically and tell. On what value tax is payable?
9,600.
5,000?
9,600.
Yeah, 9,600 is correct answer, but how you have computed it?
So the cost of education for 12 months will be
But why?
800.
So why you have applied that concept? Can you tell me logically why you have applied that concept?
So first of all, we will check if it will be tax-free or not. It will not be tax-free because it is not for employees' children, it is for their parents. So then
Yeah,
we
so
will
one thing is one thing is sure that it is not tax free. Why? Because tax free is only for children. So in this case it is parents. So one thing is sure that it is not tax free. Now I think you can listen. There is some problem in that. So I will see then whether it is provided at any other place or in an institution. If it is provided at any other place, then I will not check cost of education in a similar institution. This you should remember. I hope this slide is visible. And so first of all, I will see, is it tax free or not? I got the point that no, it is not tax free. Then I got the point that it is not in an institution. No, it is an institution. So I checked whether it is an institution or not. I got the answer, yes, it is an institution. And if this is the case, the answer is cost of education in a similar institution, which is 800 per month into 12, 9,600. Again, there was some break. So if this time connection goes, then I will disconnect for a while and we'll get back through the hotspot. So let us see if this time also connection goes. Then we will not continue at this uh, ID. We will shift to new ID. Anyhow, second illustration. X is an employee of A Limited. His parents are provided free education in an institution maintained by the employer. Now everything is same. Same as illustration 1 with only one change. With one change. And that change in, and that is cost of education in a similar institution is 3,000. Rest is same. Can you tell me the answer now? Everything same, parents, free education, institution. But in a similar institution, the cost is 3,000. So can you tell me what is the answer which is the value taxable in my hands?
36,000.
36,000. Why? Same thing. Is it tax-free? Answer is no, because it is not provided to children. Then is it in an institution or at any other place? In an institution, then flat. The answer is similar institution cost into 12, of course, 36,000. Third. In third, I will say that X is an employee of A Limited. Here also parents are provided education facility, but now it is not free. Okay, so now it is not free. I will say that it is provided in an institution. It is provided in an institution, not free, but very concessional fee. Concessional fee. Only rupees 200 per month. This is the only cost of fee which the institution is charging. So it is not free. Can you tell me the answer in this case? How much value is taxable? Don't follow this sequence. First, always check, is it exempt or not? Is it exempt? Can you tell me, is it exempt or not?
No, sir, it is not exempt.
Why?
The
Because
first
of
of all is parents.
parents. I will say that it is not exempt. Then what? Institution or at any other place? Institution, then what is the answer? Oh, so what is not mentioned, I have not told you. The cost of education in a similar institute is 3,000 per month. In this case, cost of education in a similar institute is 3,000 per month. Now, can you tell me the final answer which is taxable?
33,600.
Yes, 33,600. So how I got it? This is taxable. How I got it? Cost of education 3,000 minus amount recovered 200 into 12. Fourth point. I hope it is clear. Any problem, you unmute and ask. X is an employee of A Limited. His parents are provided education in an institution. And only one change. Actually, it was illustration 4. If you are referring to my book, then this is. If you are referring to other book, then it doesn't matter for you. Now, same illustration number next now is same as illustration 4 with one change. With one change. And what is that change? That cost of education in a similar institution is 700 per month. Now, can you tell me the final answer? Everything is same, just like illustration 4. But one change, that in illustration 4, the cost of education was 3,000 in a similar institution. Now it is only 700. Can you tell me the answer now?
6,000.
How much?
6,000.
6,000.
Yes, 6,000 is the correct answer. Why? In this case, first it is not exempt. Make sure it is exempt or not, because still parents' case. Then it is not free, or you can say that if it is not if it is children, then there is no question of any exemption. Then institution or other place. Institution, simple answer. Similar institute minus amount recovered. Shall I proceed? Fifth illustration. Think logically. X is employed in A Limited. Now children is provided. His children got education and it is free in an institution. Children got education facility free in an institution. Cost of similar education is 800 per month. Can you tell me how much is the value which is taxable?
Nil.
Why?
So because first it is free, then it is for children, it is in an institution, and the cost is less than 1,000 per month.
So all the conditions of all the 4 points of exemptions are satisfied. It is provided to children. It is totally free. It is in an institution, and cost of similar institution does not exceed 1,000. So value taxable in the hands is nil, no tax. Some notes now. Now, if all these 5 illustrations are clear, please raise your hands. Any slight problem, you please free to ask. Feel free to ask. Next point. Now tell me, let me tell you some relevant points. Uh, exemption is not available when so let me tell you that exemption is not available if it is not free. No exemption if education not free. Like if even if rupee 1 is charged from the employee, then no exemption of 1,000 will be available. No exemption if education not free. It is as per the 2008 case of Delhi High Court. On the basis of Honorable Delhi High Court ruling 2008 case, name I am not telling, but you must know for your knowledge that how in taxation or how in any act we derive the concept. By reading the act only, you cannot say that you have complete knowledge until unless that is accompanied by the High Court and Supreme Court ruling. So High Court has said in 2008 that if education not free, then no exemption of 1,000 per month. And now you tell me one illustration. Again, I am doing it from my book, and these are page 40 and 4.41. In different books, you will find different way. But in my book, I have given with reasons as well as for self-study mode, so that anyone can read and understand that what is the argument. X is an employee of A Limited. His child got education, but it is concessional fee. 200 per month. Cost of similar education in a similar institution, similar, is how much? 700 per month. Can you tell me the answer in this case? Think logically and tell. Can you tell me the answer?
6,000.
Why there is no exemption?
Because the education is not free.
Yes. So the answer is 6,000. You cannot claim any exemption. I hope the point is clear. So always when you compute education facilities, first check is exemption available or not. So what notes I am discussing on the basis of court cases, just these I am discussing this just to remove any confusion, so that you know that why if education is not free, because in some books you will find that if education is not free, they have still given the exemption. So that is why I am telling you that how you should differentiate, or how you should decide how you should take your own decision, that which is more authentic or logical as per the provisions which are applicable in public domain. That's it. So 6,000, how I got 6,000? 700 minus 200 into 12. Second court case. If cost of education in a similar institution exceeds 1,000 per month per child, then also no exemption. If cost of education in a similar institution, I'm writing not in complete sentence, but you must write if cost of education in a similar institution in the locality exceeds 1,000 per month per child, per month per child. No exemption. No exemption. It is also based on Delhi Honorable, not Delhi, Punjab and Haryana High Court. High Court ruling of 2011. On this basis, they have derived this point, or we have derived an illustration on this point. If cost of education exceeds 1000 per month per child in a similar institution, no exemption. Suppose, or let me give you some illustration, then I will see whether you can attempt it or not. X, A Limited. Children got free education. In an institution. But cost of education in a similar institution is 3000 per month. Can you tell me the taxable value? What is the value which is taxable?
36,000.
X, A Limited, child, free education in an institution, but cost of education in a similar institution is 3000 per month. So what is the value?
36,000.
36,000.
Don't you think that it should be 24,000? In this illustration, those who are in favor of 24,000, please raise your hands. Those who are in favor of 24,000, please raise your hands. Why 24,000? Ishika, your hand is raised. Is it that you are in favor of 24,000 or you forgot to lower your hand?
Sir, I forgot you one.
Okay. So it will not be 24,000, but in some books you will find that they have given the exemption of 1,000 per month per child. If cost of education exceeds 1,000 per month, they have given the exemption till 1,000 per month. So they have their own logic, but on the basis of High Court rulings, I am not of the opinion, or I am of the opinion that when cost of education exceeds 1,000 per month, no exemption. If it does not exceed 1,000 per month, full exemption. But if it exceeds 1,000 per month, then don't say that give me at least 1,000 per month as exemption. As per the High Court ruling, I have decided, or it is my view, that exemption will be nil the moment your cost of education exceeds 1,000 per month. Next illustration. Same illustration, just like illustration 2, with one change only. Same illustration. Illustration 3, same as illustration 2, which I am discussing just now. Only one change. It is not free education now. Rather than free, it is concessional at 200 per month. Can you tell me the answer now? Everything is free. X, A Limited, children, but not free. Now, rather than free, it is concessional, but in an institution, similar institution cost 3,000. On this basis, can you tell me the answer?
33,600.
The answer is yes, 33,600. I will not get any exemption. First of all, why? Because it is not free. Second, by this logic, that if cost of education exceeds 1,000 per month, still don't give exemption till 1,000 per month. It is then fully taxable. Just you can deduct amount recovered from the employee, but exemption will not be there. I hope the points are clear. And third note, I am discussing some notes on the basis of court rulings. Third is also based on court ruling. And this third note is what? Cost of education when education is provided in an institution, cost of education in an institution owned by the employer can never be taken. That someone can argue that why you are taking cost of education in a similar institution. If we have the actual cost of education in our employer's own institution, why don't you take that cost? Punjab and this Delhi High Court has ruled that cost of education in an institution owned and maintained by the employer cannot be taken. This cost can never be taken. You have to take cost of education in a similar institute in a similar locality. It cannot be taken. That's it. It is based on 2008 case of Honorable Delhi High Court. You have to think rationally what is the cost of education in a similar institute in a similar locality, but in any case you cannot take the cost of education in an institution owned and maintained by your own employer. That cannot be taken. If education facility is clear, please raise your hands. Now if you have understood it, then you can easily check the confusion or check different treatment which is there in different books or in different materials. This is what my point of view. Now you are mature enough to take your own decision what you think is more logical, because in law you don't have always one answer. Answer depends upon interpretation as well as different case studies. Anyhow, please raise your hand if the point is clear. So now you are in second year, we are not in any school where you will search for correct answer, correct answer. Don't ask anything. What is correct answer? There is no correct answer. Answer at senior level depends on situation. If situation X has happened, then this is the solution. And it can also vary depending upon different assumptions. So never ask for correct answers always. Always you cannot be having correct answers. Answers so many times are dependent on different assumptions, different combinations, different set of rules, procedures, etc. Anyhow, so if education is clear, please raise your hand. Okay, so let us break for 5 minutes or 3 to 4 minutes. Then we will start another perquisite, medical. So let us break for 3 to 4 minutes and come back within 3 to 4 minutes. We will discuss medical. Please raise your hand if you are here. Okay, now let us discuss another perquisite, medical. This is perquisite number 6. Now, medical is also a benefit. All the medical expenses, if these are incurred by the employer, then of course it's a benefit to the employee. Had employer not met these expenditures, employee would have to spend the amount which now employee is saving. If saving, then it is an income on which tax should be paid. So this is the perquisite of medical facility. So medical is that facility. So many times treatment is required to be availed outside India. Maybe outside India we might be having some extra or good medical care. So there are different two ways to compute the exemption of medical facility. The cases where medical facility is provided in India and cases where medical facility is provided outside India. Now I am dealing only with exemption here. What I
Sir, I think you're not sharing your screen.
Sorry, sir, your screen is visible.
अच्छा ये क्या हो रहा है फिर कुछ लोगों को दिख रही है कुछ नहीं दिख रही है आई थिंक शायद आपके एंड पे कोई नेट स्लो है आई थिंक इज इट विजिबल
Yes, for now.
so maybe because of net problem this is happening anyhow now whatever is the reimbursement of the employer whatever reimbursement of the employer we have to check whether this amount is taxable or not. That's it. This is what our question is. Whatever amount is reimbursed by the employer or whatever amount is given by the employer to the employee for medical facility, our question is what? To check whether it is taxable or not, fully taxable or less amount is taxable, whatever is the case. So if medical is provided in India, then the following medical is exempt, or the following benefit, or in the following cases medical reimbursement is exempt. Following is exempt. First, if medical perquisite is provided in India, if medical facility is provided in India, then there are following cases in which it is 100% tax free. Even if the amount given by the employer is 50 lakh rupees, 60 lakh rupees on medical expenditure, it is tax free. First, if this medical facility is availed in an hospital maintained by the employer, if it is employer's own hospital, then whatever medical expenditure has been incurred on the treatment of employee and family. Now, if you remember, I'm using a different word now. I'm not using the word member of household. I'm using the word that it is for employee himself or family. So the meaning of family will change now. This medical exemption is for employee and family, not for member of household. So you have to also remember this point, that which perquisite uses the word member of the household and which perquisite uses the word family. This medical is the first perquisite which is using the word family or not the member of the household. So if it is provided to member of the household, then you might not claim the exemption of these provisions. But if it is provided to family, then you can claim the exemptions of these provisions which I am discussing, because in this case exemption is to the member of the family. And what is included in family, that I will tell you now. But it is different from member of household. So which medical facility in India is exempt? 100% exempt. If you have availed a medical facility in any hospital maintained by the employer, if Tata Industry has its own hospital, and if any employee has availed the medical facility in the hospital maintained by Tatas, and the total expenditure came out to be 60 lakh, for example, which Tata says no need to pay, then Income Tax Act will not say that since you have not paid 60 lakh to Tata, which you would have paid had you not employed in Tata, you add it in your value of taxable perquisite. Act says no. Any medical provided in any hospital maintained by the employer is tax free. Second, if any such facility is provided or availed in any hospital which is a government hospital, maintained by the government or local authority, facility is availed in any hospital maintained by the government or local authority. Now, normally in government hospital, medical is tax free. Not tax free, in fact, there is no cost, but not all procedures are free. Like for example, if any chronic disease has happened, so the government hospital will not charge any treatment cost. No cost of hospital stay, no cost of doctor's fee, no cost of operation theatre, etc. But instrument which is used in surgery, they will ask the patient to bring that instrument, and they will uh, provide the treatment of that instrument. Like if any person is having heart problem where stent is required because of blockage in heart, if stent is required, so in any government hospital like All India Institute of Medical Sciences, they will not provide, they might not provide that instrument because instrument might not be available with them. So they will ask the patient that you bring that stent and we will get that stent uh, uh, put in your body, where no charge of doctor, no operation theatre fee, no stay expense, nothing. But suppose that stunt cost is 40,000 rupees, and the employer says to that employee who got that stunt that I will reimburse this 40,000 to you. To whom? To the employee. So Income Tax Act doesn't say, or department will not say that since you got reimbursement of 40,000 from your employer, pay the tax. No, department says tax free. Any medical facility availed in any hospital maintained by the government or by the local authority, if you are availing that medical facility, that is tax free, no tax. Next point. If you have availed medical facility for some diseases, availed for specified diseases, which are mentioned in Rule 3A2. In any hospital, approved by the commissioner, principal, chief commissioner, etc. So I am only using the word commissioner. income tax. Now there are some diseases which are mentioned in Rule 3A sub Rule 2. TB, AIDS, cancer, mental retardation, chronic diseases which require surgery, orthopedic problem which requires surgery, heart disease, blood diseases which require hospitalization of at least 3 days. So these are some diseases. And suppose any employee has availed the treatment of these diseases, you are not supposed to learn the name of diseases, you must learn this Rule 3A. That language you need to learn, that you must know that there is a Rule 3A. But if for these diseases, the treatment is availed in any hospital which is approved by commissioner, then the medical facility is 100% tax free. Fourth point, if facility is availed in any hospital approved by the government, for the purpose of CGHS, Central Government Health Scheme, CGHS, Central Government Health Scheme. Facility is availed in any hospital approved by the government for the purpose of CGHS, Central Government Health Scheme. Now, if your parents are in government job, you can ask from them, then what is this CGHS? It's basically a scheme where a card is made of the government employees, and by showing that card, the treatment can be availed in those hospitals which are willing to accept this card. Of course, it is applicable in any government hospital, but in private hospitals also, there are so many hospitals which says that we are willing to provide the treatment to the employees who are having CGHS card. Through this card, the charge or the cost of medical in that private hospital becomes less. For example, if any laboratory, the cost of any test is 1000 rupees, under this card, CGHS card, government rates will be applied, maybe 300 or 400 only. So this CGHS card is made for the government employees, where so many private hospitals also they can avail the medical treatment. And when they avail the medical treatment, what happens normally? They pay to that hospital, but all the bill they submit to the employer, and employer reimburses the amount. This is what usually happens. What happens is, in medical, why we are discussing this taxability, what happens is, this is an employee. He might have gone in any hospital where the amount spent was, for example, 70,000. He will come back home. He will come back at his home after availing the treatment, and he will submit this bill of 70,000 with whom? With his employer. This person is the employer of X. He will submit the bill of 70,000. So employer will check this bill, and if employer finds it genuine, then this 70,000 or in fact less amount, 70 or less than the amount, will be reimbursed to the employee. This is what which is happening. So I am discussing this chain only. This is what my purpose is. As a tax teacher, I am discussing this chain only. That whatever amount has been reimbursed to the employee, I am discussing this chain, purely this chain. The employee has gone to any hospital and spent 70,000, that is none of my business. He has come home happily, that is none of my business. He has submitted the bill to the employer, that is none of my business. But when employer reimburses this amount or less amount or whatever amount to the employee, then tax expert work starts. Then he will simply say or decide whether this amount is tax free or no as per the provisions of the act. So what I am saying is that if you are availing any medical treatment, or if the employer is availing any medical treatment, in any hospital approved by the government for the purpose of treatment of its employees as per CGHS, then that is also 100% tax free. Like suppose I avail any medical treatment, and for example 40,000 is the cost of medical treatment. I availed this medical treatment, for example, in Delhi's Apollo Hospital. Whatever 40,000 expenditure I have incurred, I will submit to my college. My college accounts department will check it. And suppose my college account department says that only 37,000 is reimbursable, 3,000 is beyond the rules. So they will give me 37,000 and it is tax free. It will be tax free in my hands. Why? Because of this point. I will not include that 37,000 in my salary while paying tax to the government, because I have availed a medical facility in an hospital which is approved by the government for the purpose of CGHS or whatever is the point. Is this point clear? If yes, please raise your hand. So these are 100% tax free. I hope you got the knowledge of this circle, that which amount I am talking about. Amount reimbursed from the employer to the employee, or given by the employer to the employee. I am checking this taxability, that these are tax free. Last point, where medical in India is totally tax free. This is the last point. Medical insurance premium. So last point is medical insurance premium given by the employer on medical insurance policy of employee. Insurance premium paid by the employer on the medical insurance of the employee. There is a medical insurance of the employee and the premium is 10,000 rupees, for example. Employer pays that 10,000 directly to the insurance company, that is tax free. Department will not say that it is your personal benefit, you include it. No, they say tax free. Now, why these exemptions are given? To promote brotherhood, you can say. Where department is giving this message that if your employer is willing to help in your medical needs, then we are also helping you indirectly by not collecting any tax on that benefit. So this is the benefit to the employee. In these 5 situations, 100% medical expense received by the employee from the employer is tax free, provided these are in India. If you have availed medical in any hospital which is of government hospital, or in any hospital which is government hospital or hospital maintained by local authority, any hospital which is approved by the commissioner, but in that only for those diseases which are mentioned there was some break in connection. And the last point is any medical insurance premium paid by the employer for the health or for medical insurance premium of the employee, these entire benefits, the benefits in all these 5 situations are 100% tax free. Next point. Now, what do you mean by family? This is the next point. What is the meaning of family for the purpose of medical? For the purpose of medical perquisite. What is the meaning of family? Employee himself or herself? Spouse and children, of course. Spouse and children. Or rather than employee himself, ignore it. Family means himself. Already he is of course covered. So family means spouse and children. And second, parents, brothers and sisters of this individual. If these are dependent on the employee, that's it. So this is the family. So whenever medical is reimbursed for employees' own health, spouse health, children health, parents, brothers and sisters, then it is covered under those 5 exemptions. Now when you compare it with members of the household, see, this is the difference. Members of the household. So members of the household includes what? Spouse, children and their spouse, parents, and it was servants and dependents. Servants and dependents. If medical is given for servant, for example, if employer is so kind, because whatever employer gives you, department has no role, tax department will not question that, but your employer was so kind that he gave you the medical expenses of which you have incurred for your servant, 50,000. Can you tell me that will be taxable or exempt?
No, sir.
What no?
Like it would be taxable.
It should be taxable. Why?
Because servants are dependent. Servants are not part of members of the family.
क्यों? Servants to members हैं.
Of the
Servant
family.
is not part of family. Don't say members of the family. Servant is not part of family. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the point. In other perquisites, the provision says the benefit or taxability is there when the perquisite is provided to employee or members of the household. So there the servants are part. But for medical, servants are not a part of family when you compute exemption of medical perquisite. Now let me discuss first numerical with you. Then only you will understand the concept in detail. And do remember, spouse and children can be independent. Still the exemption is available. The dependent word is used only for parents, brothers and sisters. So let me discuss a small numerical, then you will understand the doubt. So let me discuss an example, not illustration. Let me discuss from my book, Concept Building Approach. Example given on page 4.42. Listen only, I will write only relevant points. So the example is X has incurred the following medical expenses in India during the previous year 2021 for the treatment of himself and his family members. In India, so this is sure, X is an employee. He incurs the medical expenses in India. During the previous year 2021 for the treatment of himself and family members. Himself and family members. Now, So there are some points given. On whom the medical expenses is incurred and where the expense is incurred. So at expenses incurred in employer's hospital or employer's clinic. On whose health? Mrs. X. How much is the expense incurred? 1 lakh. And how much reimbursed? Out of this 1 lakh, how much reimbursed? Only 90,000. Okay, this is how I will proceed. Second point. Expense incurred at which place? Government hospital. On whose health? X own health. Expense incurred 10,000. Amount reimbursed 10,000. Third point. Disease which is written in Rule 3A. I will show you the name of those diseases after this question. Diseases which are mentioned in Rule 3A. Sub-rule 2, ignore sub-rule. You can only write 3A. In a hospital, approved. Mr. X father. He is Mr. X father. Dependent upon Y. Dependent upon Y. Total cost incurred 2 lakh. And amount reimbursed 1 lakh 80. Disease Rule 3A. And a hospital approved. Mr. X mother. She is not dependent upon Y. She is not dependent upon Y. So not Y. She is not dependent upon X on the employee. Expense incurred 80,000. Out of which reimbursed 70. There was medical insurance policy. Of the employee. It is on Mrs. X father. Mrs. X spouse father. The premium was 20,000, but employer reimbursed 19. Can you tell me the taxable value of medical? You have to simply tell me taxable value of medical. Now, in first point, can you tell me how much is taxable? You can note down this question later. Can you tell me on the, after having a look at your screen, how much is taxable?
Nil.
Nil. Why?
First of all, member of the family, then employer's own clinic.
Employers own hospital or clinic, same thing. So there is no tax on 90,000. It is tax free. Second point. Can you tell me second point? What is the answer in second point?
Nil again.
Why?
In a government facility.
गवर्नमेंट फैसिलिटी नहीं है, गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल है.
Yes, sir.
Government hospital incurred on whose health? Employees own health.
Employee's own
X.
health.
So this 10,000 again tax free, no tax. Third point. Any answer of third point?
Again,
Nil.
is because the disease is mentioned in Rule 3A and it is in a hospital approved and the father is dependent.
So it should be nil or taxable.
It should be nil, sir.
So 1 lakh 80 tax free. Fourth point.
Again, nil.
So it
Why?
will be taxable.
Sir, mother member of the family, and then it's a disease and prescribed in Rule 3A, and the hospital is approved.
Is he correct?
No, so I guess it will be taxable because the mother is a member of the family, but she's not dependent on Mr. X.
Yes.
So
So she is
it
not
will,
dependent. Parents, brothers, and sisters must be dependent. Otherwise, there is no exemption. So this reimbursement 70,000 will become taxable. I need to pay tax. Fifth point.
so it will be taxable because wife's father is not a member of family.
Why nahi X?
Wife's father, sir.
Wife's father. Yes. Spouse father. Spouse father is not a member of family. Not covered in family. So whatever reimbursement taxable. So as X, he has to include 89,000 as perquisite in respect of medical facility. If understood, please raise your hand. Now, do you want to note it down or shall I proceed? Those who want to note it down now, they raise the hand. If you want to note it down, raise the hands, otherwise I will proceed. Do you want to note it down, Manya, Devesh, Ishika? Do you want to note it down?
Yes, so Dan, I've been facing issues in putting the hand down.
So, okay. Okay, so this is what the treatment of medical facility in India. So let us proceed now. What about the medical facilities outside India? That needs to be checked now. So let us discuss the treatment of medical facility outside India. For this, we are having different treatment. So when someone is given medical facility outside India, what happens? When someone is given medical facility outside India, then what happens? There will be treatment expenditures outside India. There will be traveling expenditure outside India. If someone wants to be given or providing, someone wants to be provided with medical facility outside India, as an employer, it's possible that I will reimburse traveling expenditure also, flight expense from India to that country where the medical treatment is going to be availed. And then stay expenses. The patient will stay, and not only the patient will stay, along with that, one attendant will also be there. Because if the person is so ill or so sick that the treatment is required outside India, then of course the person is not must not be in a position to go alone. It's not that you can simply send that ill skilled sick person alone, that you go alone in a flight. No, he or she cannot go. So one attendant is also required. Similarly, for traveling, you cannot send that person alone. You cannot say, you might say, but normally, if you are willing as an employer, if you are willing to reimburse the expenditure, then you will take care of each and everything which is more logical. You will allow the traveling expenditure of one attendant also. And as far as treatment is concerned, you will not allow the treatment of that attendant also who is going along with that sick person. For treatment, you will say that only your cost. So one thing is sure that while providing medical facility outside India, while computing the tax treatment of medical facility outside India, three things are to be taken into consideration. I hope now you are getting an idea that how we are computing the taxable values. The purpose is only to check under entire income tax act how much is exempt, otherwise the full amount is taxable, whatever you earn. So now it is second case, which I am discussing, medical outside India. Now, whenever medical facility is provided outside India, of course, what we are checking, whatever is the amount reimbursed or provided by the employer, that is our main purpose. Reimbursed or provided by the employer. We need to check the taxability of this point. Now, medical outside India, there are three different types of expenditures. What are those three type of expenditure? First is medical treatment. So medical treatment expense of employee or family, whatever is that. How much is taxable? What is the taxable value? You will say that this expenditure, medical treatment expense reimbursed, is exempt. Expenditure is exempt to the extent permitted by RBI. Exempt to the extent permitted by RBI. Because in this, foreign exchange comes into picture, then RBI comes into picture. So to the extent this expenditure is permitted by RBI, that is exempt, remaining becomes taxable. Then stay expenses, stay expenditure or stay expenses of two people, of the person who is ill plus one attendant. Stay expenses of the person and one attendant. Of course, here also medical, this RBI comes into picture because foreign exchange is required. Then expenditure is exempt or expenditure reimbursed, I should say. The amount of expenditure which has been reimbursed by the employer, that is exempt, but not 100%. Expenditure reimbursed is exempt to the extent permitted by RBI. And third is traveling expenditure. Now here also traveling expense of not only the concerned person, of that person who is sick plus one attendant. Now here RBI doesn't come into picture because I'm in India and ticket will be purchased in Indian rupees, so there is no foreign currency involved. So RBI permission doesn't matter. But this amount is fully exempt. Traveling expenditure which has been reimbursed to the employee is fully exempt if gross total income. What do I mean by gross total income? Salary, house property, PGBP, capital gain, other sources, merging all five, doing the total of all five. If gross total income, but before including this said traveling expenditure reimbursed. This traveling expenditure which has been reimbursed, you do not include it in it, because this is what we have to take a decision on this. We have to take a decision whether this amount is taxable or not. So why we should include it? So in working note, I will compute gross total income before including this said traveling expenditure reimbursed. If that gross total income does not exceed rupees 2 lakh, then this traveling expenditure reimbursed is fully exempt, otherwise fully taxable. otherwise fully taxable. And here also the family means same, because that meaning of family was not only for medical in India, that is also for medical outside India. Let me first discuss a case, an example from my book, and then I will take your doubt. And then you can ask me to go to any screen if you want to note it down. So let me first discuss an example. Again from my book, I am discussing an example given on page 4.43. X has incurred the following expenses on the medical treatment outside India during the previous year 2021. Now these three expenditures are given. Medical expenditure of X. On X health. How much is the expenditure? 10 lakh. Out of 10 lakh, how much is reimbursed? 9 lakh. And how much RBI permitted? 8 lakh 60. Then stay abroad expense. Stay abroad expense of X and one attendant who accompanied that employee X. Total expenditure incurred 3 lakh. Employer reimbursed 280. Since here foreign exchange was involved, RBI permitted 250. Traveling expense. Again X and one attendant. 4 lakh. Expense reimbursed 3 lakh. Here RBI doesn't come into picture. Now what other information is given? Basic salary. 13,000 per month. Income from other sources. 24,100. Invested rupees 10,000. In his own PPF account. Public Provident Fund account during the previous year 2021. Now this is the example which we have to do. X is an employee on whose medical expenditure the expense incurred by him was 10 lakh, out of which his company reimbursed 9 lakh and RBI permitted only 860. Stay abroad expenses in that country of X and one attendant for the purpose of medical expense incurred 3 lakh. Employer reimbursed 2 lakh 80 and RBI permitted only 2 lakh 50. Traveling expenditure on traveling of X and one attendant who will accompany X, of course. Expenditure incurred 4 lakh, out of which employer reimbursed, that is 3 lakh 80,000. Other information: basic salary, income from other sources, his investment in PPF account during the previous year 2021. Let us solve this question. Question says you simply tell us the value of medical. That's it. You simply tell the medical facility which is tax, the value of medical perquisite. That's it. This value we need to tell. So let us discuss on next page. Now only discuss medical. I'm not discussing total calculation, I'm discussing medical perquisite. Can you tell me what is the answer of first point? Medical outside India, 10 lakh, 9 lakh, 8 lakh, 6. Can you tell me how much is taxable as far as this first point is concerned?
40,000
40,000. Why? Because
because uh, the limit by RBI is 860 and reimbursed is 90. So 860 will be exempt, but 40,000 will be taxable.
yes, so 10 lakh is of having no use. 10 lakh is simply an information. I'm concerned about how much I got it. So I got 9 lakh, out of which, as per the provisions, exempt is 860. So 40,000 is taxable. Similarly, second point. What is the answer of stay abroad expense?
30,000.
30,000.
30,000. So I got 2 lakh 80, out of which exempt 250, taxable is 30,000. Now how much traveling is taxable? Now for this we need to do working note. So this is note 1, which tells me the calculation of traveling expenditure. I got 380. I need to simply check whether 380 is fully exempt or 380 is fully taxable. That is the provision. Either 380 is fully exempt or 380 is fully taxable. And how do we check it? We have to compute gross total income. So let us start computing gross total income. So I will compute, but this is not the final gross total income. This is computation of GTI only for the purpose of medical. I hope you have understood. Computation of gross total income for the purpose of medical perquisite. That is why tax is little bit technical and bulky, because we have so many points while doing the to be used or to be applied while performing the calculations or to compute the exact taxable value for the purpose of medical. How much is basic salary? How much basic I will write? 13,000 into 12. That will be we are computing gross total income because this will tell me whether 3 lakh 80 is taxable or exempt. It comes out to be 1 lakh 56. Then what? Can you tell me what I will add now? What I will add?
Income from other sources.
The taxable value of medical and stay expenses.
Yeah, of course. For other sources, I will add all the incomes except traveling expenditure which has been reimbursed. So I will add perquisite of medical, but I will not include traveling expenditure. But I have already got a value which is taxable 40,000 plus 30. Traveling I will not add. This you should remember, 70,000. Now this, there is no other income of salary, so it is my gross salary, and that is 226 less. Deduction under which section?
16.
16. How much?
50,000.
50,000. So
50,000.
this is my taxable salary. I'm computing gross total income. $176. There is no house property income given. There is no PGBP given. There is no capital gain, but there is income from other source. 24, 100. It gives me gross total income, which is 2 lakh 100. But do you know there is a deduction under section 80C also in this case? Had I told you this point or not? Investment in public provident fund account is eligible for deduction under section 80C. Had I told you this point earlier or not? If not,
Yes,
if
sir.
not, okay, still if not, you do remember that it is deduction under section 80C. Let us assume that directly the answer is given deduction under section 80C 10,000. But now will I deduct 10,000? My question is this. When I am deriving gross total income for the purpose of medical, will I deduct 10,000?
No, sir, because then it will become total income and not gross total income.
Yes, it will become then total income and not gross total income. So I will end here. And since this is more than 2 lakh, entire traveling expenditure reimbursed is taxable. This is what my total perquisite of medical. 4,50,000. And this is the working note only of gross total income. But do you know when I will compute the fair working? When I will compute fair working, I will show basic salary 156 and I will show perquisite not as 70,000. The perquisite of medical now is 4,50,000. This is how I will proceed in future. Not in future, in fact, when I'll do my final calculation. Less 80C, sorry, less 16, 50,000. It will be 556. Add income from other source 24,100.
580, 100.
580, 100, and less from this I would have deducted 80C 10,000 and my total income would have been 570,100. But that is not the purpose that I simply told you. The purpose in this question was to show you how to compute the taxability of medical perquisite. If this point is understood, please raise your hand, and with this our medical is also over. Please raise your hand if this point is clear. So we have discussed these two technical perquisites, education and medical. I think we should stop now, though I can discuss more, but now raise your hands if you want to stop here, or if you want to proceed, then that is a separate thing. But do you want more perquisites or not? So first raise your hands if you don't want to discuss more perquisites today. Raise your hands if you don't want to discuss more perquisites. Okay, now raise your hands if you want to discuss more. Now raise your hands if you think that we should discuss more. Now raise your hands if you want to end this session here. Now raise your hands if you want to end this session here. Okay, so majority says that we should stop now. So we have covered two technical perquisites, education and medical. And let us end this session today. Those who are having any doubts, they should stay here. Goodbye.